We just saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and on this show I take my friends out, we see a movie, we review it here in the car, we do that pretty quickly, let you know whether we thought you should like it or not, who we would recommend it to, and all that kind of thing. And then we move into a discussion of the movie, which goes into plot spoilers and more deeper things than that. So, if you're looking to find out if this is a movie for you, watch the review part. If you've already seen the movie and want to know more about what we think, or if you don't care about the movie at all and just want to hear us talk and be silly, watch the discussion part as well. This is a fantastic movie. My review of this is going to be extremely brief. I can't think of someone I wouldn't recommend this movie to. I have a 4-year-old son. I would take him to see this movie in a heartbeat. It's one of those movies that we're going to look back on in 20 years like people look back on Star Wars and say, this was a classic. I remember when I saw this the first time. I remember how amazing it was and how it changed everything. It is not a superhero movie. It is not a science fiction movie. It is not a comedy. It is all of those things and more. It is magical. Go and see it. Go see it in IMAX. There's some things that they do in IMAX that I've never seen done before that are really fun and really cool. But yeah, check it out. It's worth full price. It's worth IMAX price. Guardians of the Galaxy. Who knew? Go check it out. That's my review. What'd you guys think?
I loved it as well. I just completely loved this movie. Very smartly made. The characters really, really pop. It's a fun story, and it's just a well-directed, well-put-together movie. You can tell that James Gunn really understands what made Star Wars work, and what makes other science fiction as well work. There was a lot of parts of it that reminded me of Mass Effect, the video game, really. It's just... It really built on science fiction-y movies and media that has come before it, and just to make this fantastic, fantastic movie. It was like every one of your favorite moments from Star Wars or Firefly or Mass Effect, like all in one superhero-y movie.
I thought it was terrible. Just horrible movie. No, I'm just kidding. It was awesome. You'd really have to, for the kind of movie they set out to make, they nailed it, and you'd be hard stretched to find, like, you'd have to really nitpick to say something bad about it. Maybe a couple of slow moments, but it's a fantastic movie. It's so much fun. I thought it would be good because I heard good things about it going in, but it was actually better than what I thought. Like, it was just like, I didn't want it to end. So that's the best thing I can say is I didn't want that movie to end.
Yeah. If you don't have fun at this, you can't have fun.
No.
You're incapable.
It's optimistic. It builds an optimistic world that you're kind of in, and you just don't want it to end. And the credits come up and you're like, oh, damn.
I absolutely loved this movie. Something ridiculous. I love these characters. I've already loved these characters in the past, but to find them now and to find them the way that they wrote them and the actors performed them and just really got to the brilliant moments that exist between these characters, and that's what this movie is more than anything else. It's
the camaraderie.
It's all of these characters existing together, and that's one of the things I love about Marvel, because they always seem to do that so well, and they did not disappoint with this film. I adored it.
So that's the quick review. That's basically what we thought of it. This is a resounding go and see it. Stop watching what we're doing. Stop watching YouTube. You're stupid. Go see the movie. You'll thank me later. Trust me.
You're not stupid. We love you.
You're not stupid. You're not subscribe. Thank you. You're not stupid. Subscribe. Ding. So yeah, there's a lot of, like, you talk about different touchstones and different points of other science fiction movies. I mentioned Star Wars a little bit. Juliette mentioned Star Wars a little bit. I didn't really grow up on Star Wars so much. I didn't really see those movies until I was older, like a teenager and that kind of thing. And so I don't have quite as, like, that, if that had happened earlier in my life or closer to when it was actually a big deal.
You'd have the nostalgia.
I'd have the nostalgia for it, and it would have been more of an impact on me. But seeing it, you know, in the early 90s or late 80s or whenever it was that I ended up seeing it, it wasn't as big a deal because there had been so many other movies that came out. But I was watching this movie and I was thinking to myself, and I've said in the past, I've gone to see movies and said, this is better than Star Wars. I've said that about movies in the past. Like, I thought The Fifth Element was a better movie than Star Wars, personally.
I'll agree with you.
This movie, I watched it and I was thinking it's better than Indiana Jones. It's better than any of the Star Wars movies. And the reason I would say that is that it's not, like, it's... Instead of it being a really great origin story for one really amazing, great character, like the first Iron Man movie was, it's a really great origin story for like 5 really great characters and a bunch of sub-characters, like a whole other thing. It's almost like they... It's like they made the Avengers without making the movies that precede the Avengers
too. The whole team aspect was. I enjoyed this even better, and I really like the Avengers, but like just the.
I think this is a better movie than the Avengers.
I would agree. Yeah,
I really do.
I enjoyed it more than the Avengers even.
Yeah.
I so loved the Avengers, but there's something just so infectiously fun about this movie that, like,
especially Rocket Raccoon.
Oh boy.
I think they one-upped themselves, you know what I mean? Like, it's very true that this movie is better than the Avengers, but this movie couldn't exist had the Avengers not existed.
Yeah.
They almost used, I won't say the format, but it kind of made, for this group dynamic film, it made us all believe it can exist, you know, and now they showed it to us. Like you were saying with Star Wars, I got a great Star Wars feel from this, but part of me almost thought, this is like Star Wars if every character in Star Wars was Han Solo.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what this movie is. Like, what if everyone was the cool person?
Well, and the other good thing to compare it to would be Serenity or Firefly. Yeah. And that's the same guy that did the Avengers. So you've got, you know, with Serenity, if you watch Serenity without watching the Firefly TV show, Serenity's not as good. You need the backstory. You need that extra amount of character background and building and the team dynamic that they create over the, you know, it's not that many episodes, but it's a huge part of it. And this movie does in that one movie what the entire Firefly series, such as it was, plus the movie did, and still does it better. And you know, I hate to keep saying that it does it better, and not like explain that further. So I guess the way to describe it is, like, to compare it to the Avengers. Like, with the Avengers, you have these well-defined characters that they're giving you a version of those characters, right? Like, there's different versions of the Incredible Hulk, okay? And you get this one version of the Incredible Hulk, and in the Avengers, the Hulk exists as part of a team in certain situations that Joss Whedon can put him into, and he makes him funny in certain ways, and he makes him sympathetic in certain ways, and, you know, creates these different dynamics of what that character is and how that works. With this, especially for someone like me who'd never, like, I don't know who any of these characters are, all of this is new to me, I felt completely informed about who these characters are, why they care about one another. Like, pick any two and I know why they care about each other.
Yeah.
Like,
even if they don't at first.
They established every bit of that in this movie.
Yeah.
And I honestly I kept expecting, like, superhero origin movie baloney to happen in this, and it just never happened.
Yeah, it never slows down with the boring backstory stuff.
What did you think about the very beginning?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I had no idea there was any scene on Earth that actually starts in 1988 on Earth. I was like, what? How does what?
I adored it, and you just said that it didn't have any of that origin story malarkey annoyance. The great part about it was it totally didn't, and it almost winked at itself and not. It's like, here's the little kid, he gets abducted, 26 years later.
Yeah.
Like, that was such a...
It gives you just the bare amount of exposition you need, and it's so great for that.
Yeah, it's so smart in that way, and you learn certain things throughout the film about the main character, Peter Quill, but you don't get bogged down in it.
Right.
You just get to live in it for the moment, and then move on to other great character aspects, and funny, hilarious moments, or action-packed. I have to say Groot.
Awesome. Totally awesome.
Groot is... I mean, every single one of these characters has a moment to steal this film, and they do all of them.
Well, yeah, somehow there's 5 Tony Starks in this movie.
Right.
Like, that's how
they all have
amped up and amazing
moments.
it is.
Yeah, they're all so great. They're all such fun characters. Even the side characters were really fun and enjoyable.
Brilliant.
John C. Reilly's character is great. Nebula, she was very interesting. I enjoyed that character. Oh god, Michael Rooker is fantastic in this.
He has a super cool moment too, by the way. Like a brilliant just murders. How many people does he kill in that scene?
Oh man, it's his Quicksilver
like 15 minutes.
It really was kind of the Quicksilver. Yeah, it was like 20 or something people, and he just kills all of them with this psychically powered arrow, and it's just fucking awesome.
Yeah, I saw a lot of like I also was like came into this expecting a little bit of like Super, like the influence of that movie to be in this James Gunn's like Super movie with Rainn Wilson, and that movie had like a similar, we're not going to hold you by the hand, we're just going to throw things at you, and
I didn't know that was the same guy. Interesting.
Yeah. And Super is like a hard R, violent as hell, like it's like Kick-Ass with like teeth, like a really dark version of that story.
Yeah,
it also has one of the most uncomfortable sex scenes I can think of in a film.
No, squishy.
Oh my god.
So weird.
That scene, I was just watching. I remember watching that, and I was just uncomfortable as fuck the whole time. I was like, well, good job. I know this is what you're meaning to make me feel like. So good job.
Ellen Page, right?
Yeah. But I have to say, I mean, this just was a whole different level for James Gunn. Just a complete masterpiece, start to finish. It's a movie that I would have, I could have seen it twice today. I mean, I had the opportunity to see it twice today, and had I known it was this good, I would have. Like, if we had seen the 7 o'clock show, I might have stuck around and seen it again at 10 o'clock. Yeah. Or I might take my kids to see it tomorrow. It's...
Because it's one of those movies that gives you a feeling, and you want to keep in that feeling, right? It's like, just, that's how it was for me. In terms of how it was shot, interesting, because like,
glad you brought that up.
Well, there's just a lot of, it's getting harder and harder for an action film to show you anything new, so in a sense this film doesn't try to, it's not trying to show like anything new, but it's all very modern, very consistent. It's taking place in the Marvel world. What I like is they've got access to any camera they want, all the high-speed cameras, and they don't abuse that. There's some nicely used moments of high-speed video equipment going on. And as for the special effects, pretty seamless for what it is. Nothing feels out of place, and
a rocket is
you totally forget this is completely CG and motion capture.
Heavy as it is,
the grout stuff. Like I was thinking, like oh yeah, it's probably Vin Diesel doing the whole motion capture thing, and it's so you forget that it's a CG thing in front of you. It's like it just fits in nicely.
Yeah,
it's beautiful to look at.
It's like the polar opposite of the Star Wars prequels,
right?
Where everything looks fake
and everything looks like it has no weight and it's too shiny and nothing has dirt on it. It's the complete opposite. Groot looks legitimately real, like he is a part of that world and everyone is dealing with it.
It just fits in.
And may I say, when he has that amazing glowing pollen moment.
That's
awesome,
I swear I want that as a screensaver on every device that can have a screensaver. I just want that glowing pollen coming off of Groot. It was beautiful, and they kind of encapsulated that with the characters so well, because he does this and all of them are just like
it's a
just
movie
staring at it and dumbfounded.
There's so many movies that just hero movies in general that they throw the one-liners at you, they throw the comedy at you, but emotionally they're just manipulative.
Yeah.
Like, they just kill a character to get you on their side, sort of thing, or to justify what they're about to do. And this, like, every emotional moment worked. Every serious moment worked. The opening, like, that opening is...
That took me by surprise. I was like,
so, like, down and everything about, like, it's so perfect. It grounds the whole movie to start it up.
It wraps it up nicely at the end, too.
But what I was going to say about the way it was shot, and seeing something new, I saw something happen in this movie that it's a blink and you'll miss it effect that I've never seen anybody do before.
What's that?
I thought it was so cool. You'd have to see it in 3D to see it, and you'd have to see it in IMAX to see it. So, with IMAX, and there's probably a number of people that don't know this, like what the difference is between that it's not just a bigger screen, it's an actual different aspect ratio. This video you're watching now is in 16:9, which is what IMAX is in. If you're watching a normal movie, it's 2.35 to 1 anamorphic. So if this were a movie, there'd be black bars, you know, on top and bottom, right? So usually in an IMAX movie, like The Dark Knight or, you know, one of like Christopher Nolan movies, pretty much any of the movies you see in IMAX, the action sequences take place in that 16:9, but then they have the dialogue in the anamorphic.
Yeah.
Like, they don't shoot the whole movie in IMAX.
No.
And it happens quickly enough and as the scene changes well enough that most of the time the audience doesn't notice that those bars suddenly exist and they suddenly disappear. But a lot of times that'll happen, like, within a couple of seconds. It'll be bouncing back and forth like that.
Yeah.
There's this great moment... well, that explanation out of the way. There's this great moment where Groot stabs into Drax, David Bautista's character.
Yep.
Did I get his name right?
Yep, Drax.
Drax. Stabs into Drax, and this yellow blood spurts up into the screen.
Yeah, because he was drowning.
Now, at the moment, the aspect ratio is anamorphic, so there's black bars. When the blood flies out of him, it flies out over the black bars.
Oh, nice. I missed that. I was looking center screen.
So they actually are they're tricking you into thinking that blood is more 3D than it is. It looks like it pops out of the screen.
There was more than one moment like that. I noticed that with the knife because I actually flinched when the knife got thrown towards the screen, and I'm like, wow, I have not done that since I was a child.
So
Yeah,
that
actually caught me too.
They were tricking us with using the black bars, but in IMAX 3D, to pop things even further out of the screen than you expected them to go.
Well, talking about the 3D, because we've seen the 3D version, that was nicely done. I don't know if it was shot native or converted, but it was a good job either way.
So much of the movie is computer generated, it's hard to tell, you know, whether it was conversion or not.
I was really, really pleased with how the 3D looked in this too, because I don't know if you guys saw Captain America: The Winter Soldier in 3D, but that 3D was not good.
It wasn't.
In that, and I was kind of worried about that going into this, but it's so bright and crisp. The best use of 3D since Gravity. I feel like.
I could definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, it was pretty solid.
Yeah, something also I wanted to mention was an unsung character of this film so far, the music.
Yes, I wanted to mention that too. Yeah.
This movie is
classics.
scored with some brilliant music to it. I
and
mean,
the way it uses that music too.
Yeah, for emotional scenes, for all of these sequences.
Yeah, it's not just slapping music on a scene. It was like it all meant something.
It did, yeah. The moment where they first go to prison, I wish I could remember the song they use, but the use of music right there to kind of distance you a little bit from what's happening. Really, really good.
Really
every time that music came on, I just started smiling because it was so integral to the plot.
Yeah.
When the ship crashed and you find out when Groot dies, by the way, spoilers, when Groot dies, the way that music was playing and what was playing at that time, it was like, holy shit. Like, I was feeling terrible for this character I had just fallen in love with during this movie.
Yeah.
And then you're watching Rocket's reaction, and he's just breaking the fuck down. And, you know,
hits hard.
Yeah, everything that was going down.
Really
And it was a
does.
lot because that music brought you, it was like, I wish I could remember exactly what it was, but it just really hit that moment so well that I don't know, the music throughout this entire thing, I was just sitting there going, yep, that was the perfect song for this moment. Yep, I have personal connections to a lot of the music they play during this.
Yeah, a lot of it felt like I mean, I know one of the songs was literally from Reservoir Dogs, but it felt like the K-Billy Super Sounds of the 70s Part 2 kind of soundtrack, like those 70s sort of, you know, one-hit wonder kind of songs. Yeah, that was really good. And I thought all the performances were solid. If any, you know, if there was one weak performance in the whole thing, I would maybe say Zoe Saldana's was a little off for me. Like, she just... And I think that is more about that character. Like, there just wasn't that much to really connect me to that character.
I thought she was great. The only thing that like gave me a little jarring thing was seeing her in Star Trek. For some reason, I kept thinking like in the older Star Treks, the Green Woman. Yeah. And so I kept relating to her as the Star Trek. I don't know. That's the only thing.
Well, and she was an Avatar.
I thought she did well.
So if you need, if you need a like Smurf woman, like she's your
She's
gal.
the go-to girl for
whatever color you want to make her. She can do it.
I don't know, man. I fell very quickly for her character. I was totally into it. I thought like, I thought she played it amazingly. Gamora was a very rough role in reality. Like, especially if you're a comic fan, that's a hard role. Deadliest person alive. Like, that's the role, is deadliest person alive. And that's kind of, it's such a hard role to be able to justify, and I thought she did it emotionally, and being able to give those great credences, like, I've been tortured my whole life, I've been trapped, I have had no choice but to be this assassin, and now I finally have the option to basically say a giant fuck you, and I'm taking this ultimate weapon, and you're not going to be able to destroy these people. Yeah. You know, I thought that was incredibly powerful for that character, and she did a brilliant job at it. And I liked her falling as the movie went along. Her relationship with Peter Quinn honestly didn't feel forced. And usually they do. Usually those love relationships, those moments feel very, very forced. But the way that they played it, it almost seemed like, yes, it did seem like a romantic relationship, or it could just become a really good friendship. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird because, there's a strange dynamic there.
Yeah, I mean, it might be, it's not quite, like, it might be slightly disingenuous for me to say that I felt like her performance was weak. I just feel like compared to the rest of what I saw, and I'm saying that mostly because I was as interested in her character as I was in Nebula as a character. Perhaps more in Nebula even. And so, like, that all worked for me. Like, I want to know more about all of the characters, I guess.
Yeah. I guess she was given the more straight-laced role. She didn't have like as funny lines and stuff.
Right. But, yeah, she doesn't have like one-liners.
They needed her to so the other ones could play off of, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and she was well suited to be in the couple with Peter Quill. Yeah. That I totally bought that, and I totally bought her as part of the group and all of that too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think all the performances were solid. I was just trying to think back about like who I really thought stuck out, who was really memorable, and it's interesting how much it was about the main characters, about the Guardians of the Galaxy, as opposed to, like, we don't really focus on the villain. Like, Ronan, whatever.
Yeah, there's not
Thanos, whatever. He's there.
This was an introduction story.
Yeah, it's a setup.
You know, like, we care about Thanos. We know exactly what Ronan's trying to do. But this is setting up the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean? This is setting them up. So we're gonna kill this fucker, and now they're gonna go after Thanos. You know what I mean? And that's the next thing. And that was so wonderfully set up by Drax there towards the end of the film, where it's like, well, Ronan was only a puppet. If I want my revenge, I actually have to kill Thanos. And then he just like walks off screen. He just basically says it as he just saunters off like a throwaway line. Like, obviously this is the next thing we're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll pivot off that of it really does reward the Marvel nerds. Like, Cosmo the space dog shows up. Howard the Duck. There's a Celestial, which I never thought I'd see in a movie. One of Jack Kirby's craziest creations. Just so much craziness. It makes me very excited to see where Marvel will go next.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love this movie so much.
Oh, please. That's why you're here.
I need to throw out a huge props to Dave Bautista, the professional wrestler
Drax
who
is super great.
owned that damn role.
Yeah.
I mean, owned it. I personally am a professional wrestling fan. I enjoy it. I have a great time with it.
Yeah.
To see him come into this role that is very, very dear to me. It's a Marvel character. It's like, okay, man, this is the shit. You got to prove yourself. And he does so well, and he does funnily, and he does smart.
Yeah, he's like a seasoned action guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Action film guy. You'd think he'd done 10 of them.
Yeah, exactly. You watch him and you're like, man, his delivery is funny. He's so into this.
Yeah, it didn't
role.
feel stiff at all. It just it flowed naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not a character I was expecting to maybe care about going into this, because I'm not a wrestling fan or anything, but he just does so great in that role. He's clearly having so much fun with it. It's really, he was a joy to watch.
Yeah.
All a joy to watch.
They set him up brilliantly, too. They set him up with this joke of that his people don't understand metaphors. And the second that they set him up with that joke, it just became the funniest fucking character, because all they had to do was set up a metaphor, and then him to just be, I'm sorry, that one went over your head. Nothing goes over my head.
My
reflexes are very strong. Like, that's just the way that he plays this.
My reflexes are too fast.
Yeah, it's so damn funny.
Missed reference alert. No reference to Moondragon. No one in this car knows what I mean by that.
Yeah, not a clue. No, and I felt that too about Drax as a character. It was one of these things where, you know, I'd seen some stuff about him in the commercials and the previews, and they kind of started to set him up a little bit as a character, and they gave him that one thing that makes him funny. And I was thinking, it actually occurred to me, like, okay, he's the Thor of the group. Like, he's the guy that you shouldn't care about, but because he's Thor, he can say things that nobody else can say.
Yeah, he's out
and
of
it's
time,
funny.
out of place.
Yeah, he's this fish out of water character that is so funny when they write him to be so funny.
Metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah, as metaphor is now a battle cry.
Yeah, so damn funny.
Yeah, each character has a funny little quirk. Rocket's jokes.
Yes.
He was awesome. We haven't really talked much about Rocket, but he's
let's be real about this.
He's everybody's favorite character.
Yeah,
we didn't mention him.
Bradley
brilliant.
Cooper, the voiceover is. I couldn't picture it as Bradley Cooper, to be honest. It was just like, but the character is amazing, and what a great voice. It just fits perfectly.
When I walked out of the theater, we were all talking, and I said, "Oh man, Rocket Raccoon is Bradley character's best performance so far in his career.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean,
awesome.
it's so damn lovable and interesting and funny, and kind of oddly enough, he's a little bit of the audience's
surrogate.
He is, because he's the one who keeps saying, "This is fucking crazy. This is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to all die. Stop. We're gonna fucking die." He's so perfectly brought in that way that we're kind of all going like, "Oh man, they should run. Rocket's right."
He also, the other thing that was crazy about him and the way that they used him was in the trailers, he gets all the jokes. He gets all the punchlines, right? In the context of the movie, the things that they used as trailer punchlines aren't even really that funny.
No, they're the weaker jokes of the whole movie.
Which is, it's crazy to think about. Like, here's a funny you know, comedy, spoofy kind of movie.
So much of the comedy is like an in-joke that you get in on as the audience. After an hour, the characters get together, and it's like it's all in-jokes after that. You know, that you wouldn't get from the
and you're a part of
It's the best stuff.
You're a part of that group that now gets this joke because they set it up earlier with a whole instance.
Two words, Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For how well they can set up a joke.
It's fucking brilliant. We're like Kevin Bacon. It's a fucking brilliant joke.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm never going to sit down and read the Guardians of the Galaxy comics. I'm never going to, like, I don't really get into comics all that much at all. Like, there's a couple of series that I've, like, picked up the graphic novels and read my way through. I think the only thing I've read the complete work of is The Sandman. But, you know, with these Marvel movies and this universe that they've created, like, I'm invested in it. Early on, you know, I would say things like, you know, well, I don't really need to see Thor to enjoy the next Iron Man movie, you know, or to enjoy the Avengers. And by the time we got to the Avengers, I was like, I need to go back and see Thor.
It's all connected.
I need to, and like we were talking about in the theater, how big an impact the Winter Soldier has on everything. And you just, it's one of these things where like it doesn't. As a viewer, it doesn't hurt you to miss the movies. Like, you're not going to, like, miss the whole point or miss, you know, a huge part of it, you know, or not be in with the cool kids that know all the in-jokes. But I feel like it does reward you for stepping out and checking out this character that you may not have been as interested in. You know, maybe you don't want to see a Black Widow movie, but after seeing the Avengers, maybe that changes your mind a little bit, you know, or maybe...
I really, really, really want to see a Black Widow movie. Like, really bad.
Well, and I would like to see a Mark Ruffalo Hulk movie.
Yeah, like World War Hulk, like they just announced. Marvel announced that they were going to do World War Hulk. If you haven't seen it yet, it's okay. There is a cartoon version of it on Netflix, so look it up. But it's a really exciting thing that the fact that they're going to do that, because I want to see Mark Ruffalo rock the shit out of that role. It's going to be fun.
That's awesome. Well, that's Guardians of the Galaxy. Thank you for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed our review. If you like the way we do these things, please like us on YouTube. It helps us out. Subscribe, and check out all the written reviews and videos at dalemaxfield.com. Thanks for watching.